Hello, how are you? Today I'm going to talk to you about 5 things that can lower your blood sugar faster than anything else, all backed by scientific evidence. The 4th one, in fact, is considered nature's metformin. I'm going to explain everything about this to you. This video is essential if you have prediabetes, polycystic ovary syndrome, or if you live with diabetes. If you want to control your blood sugar or lose weight, you're going to love this. Stay until the end because you won't want to miss it. Before we start, I want to ask if you have the habit of measuring your blood sugar, and what was your last reading? Do you already have any health condition related to glucose metabolism, like prediabetes, diabetes, or polycystic ovary syndrome? Or are you really concerned about your health to prevent, having any of these problems in the future, or even to help you lose weight more easily? Tell me a little more about yourself here in the comments. I'd love to see your comment. Like this video because it helps me and also helps you get more videos like this here on YouTube. The first strategy you need to adopt if you want to control blood sugar is walking after meals. It's scientifically proven. If you ask me to choose just one thing to do that has a profound impact on blood sugar levels, it would be exactly this, because it's pure physiology. When you walk for 10 to 20 minutes after eating, your muscles start to pull glucose from your bloodstream. This is independent of insulin. Muscle is really interesting because it activates a receptor, the GLUT4 transporter, which does not need insulin. Muscle cells don't need insulin to open their doors. They can absorb this glucose that's present in high amounts in the bloodstream, pulling it inside to perform this activity. This increases glucose uptake, prevents postprandial spikes after meals, and it reduces the risk of insulin resistance. Clinical trials have shown that a light walk reduces glucose spikes by 25% to 30%. It might seem like a small amount, but 30% is a lot. That's 1/3 after a meal. It's the safest, most universal method for controlling blood sugar. And you can do it at home. There's no point in telling me, Patricia, I have nowhere to walk, I can't go out, what am I supposed to do after dinner? It's nighttime, I'm afraid. Walk around your house from the living room to the bedroom, from the bedroom to the living room. Just keep track on your watch, 15 to 20 minutes, and you'll see the huge difference it makes in controlling your blood sugar. Remember, we talk about walking because that's what the studies have focused on. But any activity you do after a meal will help you. Washing the dishes, putting them away, sweeping the floor if it got a little dirty, wiping down the table, all of these are forms of physical activity that if you do them right after eating will also help you a lot. The second tip is apple cider vinegar, which is simple, inexpensive, and proven to be effective in helping control blood sugar levels. Apple cider vinegar isn't a miracle cure, but it does work. And there are clinical studies that already reference the fact that it helps slow gastric emptying, reduces the rate of carbohydrate absorption, and decreases the postprandial glycemic spike, that is, the spike after a meal, also helping, in fact, to improve the uptake of glucose in the muscle. So, for us to use apple cider vinegar correctly, we need to dilute it, 1 tablespoon of good quality apple cider vinegar in a large glass of water. Preferably, drink it about 15 minutes before a meal that's going to be high in carbohydrates. Or immediately after the meal if you experience gastric discomfort. Never take vinegar straight because it can irritate your esophagus and damage your teeth. So it's very cheap and very easy. If you don't want to add water, the apple cider vinegar to water, remember that you can put it on your salad. You can add it to a dressing like yogurt with apple cider vinegar, a little olive oil, a bit of chopped chives. It's a way to incorporate it into your diet, but making sure you consume a tablespoon at that moment will help you a lot. Another tip is to incorporate HIIT exercise. It's very interesting because of the metabolic mobilization it provides. If you have medical clearance, it's one of the most effective for controlling blood sugar because we already know that muscle absorbs this excess glucose without necessarily needing insulin. And HIIT has a very high caloric expenditure, so it uses up glucose very quickly, increases insulin sensitivity, and lowers blood sugar for hours after the workout due to the so-called post-workout epoch effect. Not only does it burn energy and glucose at that moment, but it also keeps your metabolism very accelerated afterwards. If you don't know, HIIT is an acronym for high intensity interval training. It's an aerobic exercise. So it's interval-based. For example, you can do jumping jacks for 20 seconds and then rest for 40 seconds. Do it like this, move your body a little so you get those bursts of high intensity and then you bring it down. It needs to have this fluctuation to be considered a HIIT exercise. And you can do it in various different ways. If you're on a treadmill, you can run and then walk. If you're on a bike, you can add more resistance and then lower it. Or you can use the method I just mentioned, right? You don't need anything for this. Just jump, do jumping jacks, and then walk in place a bit so you can alternate between high intensity and lower intensity intervals. Microcircuits work as well. Now, it's worth mentioning that this isn't recommended for beginners without supervision and medical clearance. It's not recommended for people with hypertension, arrhythmia, or severe obesity unless they've been evaluated by a doctor first. So, if you have your doctor's approval and are interested in doing HIIT, there are actually several HIIT workouts right here on YouTube. You can just type in HIIT, spelled HIIT, workout beginners, and you can do it. It could be a great way for you to incorporate it into your daily routine. The fourth one I mentioned to you, which people call a natural metformin, is Berberine. More and more people are using it because it's one of the few natural substances with a real effect on our blood sugar levels. I already have videos here on the channel talking about it, okay? Studies show that it helps reduce fasting glucose. It improves insulin resistance, that HOMA-IR index that we analyze in blood tests to show insulin resistance. It helps improve that. It improves postprandial glucose control and has an effect similar to metformin in small trials. The most studied dose is 500 milligrams 2 to 3 times a day before meals. There are some caveats with Berberine because it is very strong, so it can cause diarrhea, gas, or abdominal discomfort. It interacts with many medications, including metformin. So, if you take any medication before taking Berberine, you need to talk to your doctor and check if it's allowed or not. And it cannot be taken by pregnant or breastfeeding women, okay? And of course, it's important to note that it will not replace metformin. People jokingly say it is a natural metformin, but remember that it's a dietary supplement. Last but not least, we have Psyllium, which is an extremely interesting soluble fiber for people living with diabetes because it's basically pure fiber, soluble fiber that forms a large amount of mucilage when mixed with water. Psyllium can absorb much of its own weight in water, so it forms this gel, this mucilage, which is a viscous gel. This gel slows down the digestion of carbohydrates. It lowers the glycemic index of that meal and improves insulin sensitivity. On top of that, it helps excrete some cholesterol, improving LDL cholesterol levels, which is the worst type of cholesterol. And scientific studies have already proven a reduction in postprandial blood glucose of 20% to 30% as well, which is a lot. It improves glycated hemoglobin in people with diabetes and also improves bowel movements, which is an extra benefit, right? It enhances nutrient absorption and improves the gut microbiota. I think Psyllium is very interesting for you to consider adding, for example, to your lunch or dinner. A teaspoon of Psyllium with a glass of water, mix it and drink it before one of these meals, and it will already help you a lot, right? And it's really great, especially for those days when you're going to have lunch at someone's house or eat out. And you won't have as much control over what you'll be eating, so it's a way to make sure you get enough fiber at that moment, because at home, we can really load up on salad, vegetables, and beans. But sometimes you go to someone's house and you can't really control that meal. You don't have control over the quality. You can take Psyllium before your meal as a way to ensure a good intake of fiber and help keep your blood glucose levels more stable after eating. Once again, don't exceed the recommended dose and don't take Psyllium without water. I have many videos here on the channel talking more about Psyllium. I'll leave them down below in the description for you. Now I want to hear from you. What are you going to start putting into practice today? I would love to see your comment. Remember to like the video, that really helps me out, and share it with anyone who might enjoy it or needs it. Let's work together to expand this chain of kindness, because that's what I want here on the channel. See you next time. Bye.